Jesus already told us what to do in the first 24 hours of the tribulation. Matthew 24 contains direct commands from Christ, not vague principles, but literal, urgent, time-sensitive instructions designed to be followed within hours of the trigger event. You will be shocked when you discover 5 specific instructions Jesus gave, and why most Christians have never been taught them. But here's the question you need to answer now. Do you know these instructions well enough to obey them? Instruction number 1. See it and recognize it immediately. Look again at what Jesus says in Matthew 24:15. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place. Whoso readeth, let him understand. I want you to notice the parenthetical statement at the end. Whoso readeth, let him understand. This is Jesus speaking directly to you. He's saying, if you're reading these words, you need to understand them. You need to know what this means. You need to be able to recognize this event when it happens. This is the first instruction. Be informed. You cannot obey commands you don't know exist. You cannot respond to a sign you don't recognize. Jesus expects his followers to be students of prophecy. He expects you to know the book of Daniel. He expects you to understand what the abomination of desolation means. He expects you to be watching, not passively waiting, but actively watching for the signs he described. And what I say unto you, I say unto all, watch. 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 Jesus repeats this command over and over. Why? Because the tribulation won't begin with a global announcement. CNN won't run a breaking news banner that says, "Tribulation has started." It will begin with an event in Jerusalem, in the temple, that most of the world won't even understand. But you're supposed to understand. You're supposed to be watching. You're supposed to see the abomination of desolation and immediately know, this is it. The clock is ticking. I need to act now. Here's the sobering reality. Most Christians today couldn't explain what the abomination of desolation is if their lives depended on it. And according to Jesus, their lives might literally depend on it. If you're in the category of people who need to flee when this happens, and we'll talk about who that includes in a moment, then recognizing this event isn't optional. It's survival. The first 24 hours of the tribulation will separate those who were watching from those who weren't. Those who understood from those who were confused. Those who acted immediately from those who hesitated. And hesitation in that moment could be fatal. Because Jesus' second instruction follows immediately, and it requires instant obedience. Instruction number 2. Flee immediately without hesitation. The moment you see the abomination of desolation, Jesus gives you one word: flee. Matthew 24:16, KJV. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Now, let me address something important before we go further. Jesus specifically mentions Judea, the region surrounding Jerusalem. This makes sense because the abomination of desolation happens in Jerusalem. Those closest to ground zero are in the most immediate danger. They need to get out first. But here's what I want you to understand. The principle extends beyond Judea. When the Antichrist declares himself to be God, and the tribulation officially begins, the entire world becomes dangerous for believers. Revelation 12:17, KJV. And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God, and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. The dragon, Satan, goes to war with everyone who keeps God's commandments and holds to the testimony of Jesus. That's not limited to Judea. Mountains provide natural defensive terrain, harder for armies to pursue. Caves and hiding places, shelter from surveillance, distance from urban centers, where the beast system will be strongest. Resources for survival, water, game, natural provisions. Throughout Scripture, mountains have been places of refuge. David hid from Saul in the mountains. Elijah fled to Mount Horeb. The Maccabees launched their resistance from the mountains. And Jesus says, when the tribulation starts, head for the mountains. Don't go to the cities. But here's the part that most people struggle with. Jesus doesn't say, make a careful plan and execute an orderly evacuation. He says, flee. The word implies urgency, immediacy, no time to waste. And his next instructions make it crystal clear just how urgent he means. Instruction number 3. Don't go back for anything. This is where Jesus' instructions become intensely practical and intensely difficult. Matthew 24:17-18, KJV. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. Picture the scene Jesus is describing. A man is on his rooftop, perhaps resting, perhaps praying, perhaps simply enjoying the evening air. He hears the news. The abomination of desolation has happened. The Antichrist has declared himself God in the temple. His instinct is to go downstairs, grab his emergency bag, collect his valuables, maybe get some food and water for the journey. Jesus says, Don't come down. Don't take anything out of your house. Go directly from your rooftop to flight. Another man is in the field, working, farming, going about his daily labor. He hears the news. His instinct is to return home, get his extra clothes, say goodbye to his family if they're not with him, grab his savings. Jesus says, Don't return back. Don't even get your clothes. Go directly from the field to flight. Now, I need you to feel the weight of what Jesus is saying here. He's not giving advice for a normal emergency. He's describing a moment of such immediate danger that the time it takes to grab a bag from your house could cost you your life. The time it takes to run home from the field could be the difference between escape and capture. This tells us something crucial about the first 24 hours of the tribulation. The beast's system will move fast. The persecution will begin immediately. The window for escape will be narrow. Every minute you delay is a minute closer to the door closing. Jesus reinforces this with a haunting reference. Luke 17:31-32, KJV. In that day, he which shall be upon the housetop, and his stuff in the house, let him not come down to take it away. And he which is in the field, let him likewise not return back. Remember Lot's wife. Remember Lot's wife. 3 words that carry an entire sermon. When God rescued Lot and his family from Sodom, he gave them explicit instructions. Flee and don't look back. Lot's wife looked back, and she became a pillar of salt. She was so close to safety. She was literally fleeing with angels escorting her. But she couldn't let go of what she was leaving behind. And her hesitation, her backward glance, her attachment to the life she was leaving, cost her everything. Jesus is warning you, the same thing can happen in the tribulation. You can know the right thing to do. You can start doing it. But if you look back, if you hesitate, if you let your attachment to possessions or comfort, or the life you've built slow you down, you might not make it out. This is why preparation matters so much. If you wait until the tribulation starts to think about what you'll need, you'll be tempted to go back for it. If you've already made peace with losing everything, then when the moment comes, you can obey instantly. You can flee without hesitation. You can leave your stuff and keep your life. Jesus values your life more than your possessions. The question is, do you? But here's something that shows just how personal Jesus' concern is for you. He gives a fourth instruction, and it's something to do right now, before the tribulation even begins. Instruction number 4. Understand the severity of what's coming. Jesus doesn't sugarcoat what's ahead. He doesn't tell you, it'll be tough, but you'll get through it. He tells you the truth, the full, terrifying truth, because he knows that understanding the severity is essential for generating the urgency. Matthew 24:21-22, KJV. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. Let those words settle over you. Such as was not since the beginning of the world. No, nor ever shall be. Jesus is saying, nothing in human history compares to this. Not the flood of Noah, not the plagues of Egypt, not the destruction of Jerusalem in 70 AD, not the Black Death, not World War I or World War II. The Great Tribulation will be worse than all of them. So severe that if God didn't shorten the days, no flesh would survive. No flesh, not some would die, not many would perish. No flesh would be saved. Total extinction. That's what the tribulation would accomplish if it ran its full course. Why is Jesus telling you this? Not to terrify you into paralysis. When you understand what's coming, when you grasp the unprecedented nature of this period, you stop treating Jesus' instructions as suggestions. They become commands. They become urgent. They become the difference between life and death. If Jesus says flee, you flee. If Jesus says don't go back, you don't go back. If Jesus says pray, you pray. Because the stakes couldn't possibly be higher. But there's good news hidden in this passage. For the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. God is going to supernaturally limit the duration of the tribulation. Not because the world deserves mercy, it doesn't, but because God has elect people, His people, who need to survive. And for their sake, He shortens the days. Your obedience during the first 24 hours positions you to be among those who benefit from God's mercy during the days that follow. But there's one more thing Jesus warns about, and it's specifically designed for people who are fleeing and desperate. Don't be deceived in the chaos. When you're fleeing for your life, when you've left everything behind, when you're hungry, exhausted, frightened, and desperate, that's when you're most vulnerable to deception. And Jesus knows it. That's why He follows His escape instructions with this warning. Matthew 24:23-26, KJV. Then, if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not. For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that, if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Behold, I have told you before. Wherefore, if they shall say unto you, Behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers. Believe it not. Notice the timing. Then, after the abomination of desolation, after believers start fleeing, that's when the false Christs and false prophets will appear. And they won't be obvious charlatans. They'll show great signs and wonders, supernatural demonstrations, miracles that look real because they are real, just not from God. Jesus says these deceptions will be so sophisticated that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. The very elect. God's own people, those who are fleeing, those who are desperate for a Savior. The deception will specifically target them.